All right, welcome back to Talking Shop. We got a great text, Luke chapter 14, 1 through 14. It's going to seem a bit disjointed, but you'll see, I think there's a great theme running through it all. We're happy to have Jake here. Jake is an aspiring seminarian. Will be in another year. Glad to have you join us today. Look forward to he'll be quiet most of the time probably, but he'll bring us home at the end. So listen through. Take a minute to like and subscribe as always, and let's get after it.
Yet I'm still welcome in the arms of the King. I have punched.
All right, Luke chapter 14, 1 through 14. On the Sabbath, we went to dine at a house of the ruler of the Pharisees. They were watching him carefully. We talked a bit. I don't think we had a great. But like, what would a ruler of the Pharisees kind of be? It's a head, a chief guy is the language.
Right. So Pharisees have different schools. We know this not only from the rabbinic writings, but the Talmud, but also from Josephus. And so it would have been one of the guys who kind of leads up one of those schools of Pharisees. Yeah. And it's not a school in the sense of, they had a location where they went. School is simply a line of thought.
Yeah, a tradition of the
Yeah, so if you read the Talmud, people usually get caught up in this because you have all these rabbinical arguments. If you know it well enough, what those rabbinical arguments are is they're from different schools.
Okay.
So usually whatever rabbi, so I'm thinking Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Hillel, Rabbi Shammai, they would have been chief among the Pharisees.
Yeah. So that's like that, not to get on a tangent, but that question where the lawyer asks, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Mm-hmm. Part of that is like, are we in the same school of thought?
Right.
Is what he's arguing.
Yeah. Do we have the same understandings?
Yeah.
And the schools, for the most part, don't necessarily think the others are wrong. They just think they have a different emphasis. So that's one of the things that sometimes we get messed up around all that stuff.
We always think it's going to be Democrats versus Republicans.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're definitely wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So enjoy doing your sermon on the schools of Pharisees.
Yeah, that's
now.
right.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
Okay. So anyway, that's where they're at. So they're in the point I guess is making is like, this is an important guy.
Yeah.
Important meeting. They're sitting there. He's in his home. They're all watching him carefully, it says. Mm-hmm. And then verse 2, behold, there was a man before him who had dropsy. Dropsy, today we call this edema, I think. It's the swelling
of
like
the
joints. It's like the fluid collects in there. Very painful, not life-threatening, but painful for sure.
Yeah, for those of you who play Operation with your kids, this is the water on the knee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Good. That was a great old detail there. I didn't even think of that. And then Jesus responds to this. So you could set the scene. I don't know if it. We kind of talked about this a bit, like that maybe they put this man before him, because earlier we had where he healed before, and the ruler of the Pharisees there was very upset because he healed on the Sabbath day.
Yeah.
And so now they put a man before him again. Possibly that could be how you're reading it. Who has dropsy. And Jesus responds to this. So it's kind of put forward as like a challenge. Mm-hmm. They're all watching him. All of a sudden there's a guy before him.
You're starting to get this because a couple of weeks ago the text was Jesus talking about the do not think that I've come to bring peace. As Jesus has set his face towards Jerusalem now from chapter 9,
right.
He's starting to get more opposition. They're starting to question him more. They're starting to. You get this really big after the triumphal entry with all of the Sadducees and the Pharisees coming to him. But you're starting to see the sides, if you will, be laid out. And so this seems to be one of those places of opposition that Jesus is going to take head on.
Right.
And
so he responds to all this by asking what?
Is it your English says slothful. Is it right or necessary isn't quite the right word, but can you heal on the Sabbath, I guess would be the question, or not. Which, by the way, is a question within the Talmud. So of these Pharisaical schools, this is a question.
And so he asks a question, and they shoot their hands up with their answers. They're like, "Oh, I know this," right? No, nobody says a word.
Yeah.
And so the whole setting, again, I don't think I kind of got it when we were first working on it, but it feels very adversarial.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're watching him. There's a guy here. He asks this question.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say anything. They're just watching him.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do?
Yeah.
What's the move that our Lord makes? And so he clarifies. This probably is in the tradition as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, he heals him first.
Oh, that's right.
In verse 4, yeah.
He just heals
really
him.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He grabs him, heals him, lets him go. That's the way the text says. And then he says, which of you having a son or an ox has fallen into a well on a Sabbath day will not immediately pull him out?
Yeah. So this helps us to know which school of Pharisees Jesus is at least in, or at least what he thinks he's at. There were two major schools at the time. There's the school of Shammai down in Jerusalem, and there's the school of Hillel up in the Galilee. Hillel, by the way, is known as the Pharisee of love. That should help us out in some of this. But the question was, we have two commandments in Leviticus. The one is all over the place. It's remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy.
Right.
And the other one is, if you see your neighbor's donkey in a hole, take it out. Pick it out. And so the question becomes, in this rabbinic conversation, what if that happens on a Sabbath?
Right.
Shammai would say, honor the Sabbath, you can come back and get it tomorrow. Hillel would say, pull the donkey out. So that's the love your neighbor versus honor the Sabbath. And so Jesus is now elevating this more to say what is even beneficial on a Sabbath. And because we know from the Gospels, the Sabbath, even among the school of Hillel, that Sabbath was kind of elevated. Do as little as, yes, you're supposed to love your neighbor, but do as little as possible.
Okay.
And Jesus is saying, well, maybe there's a little more to the Sabbath than that.
Right.
So, yeah, because again, they can't say anything to him.
Yeah, they don't reply.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he takes their silence as an opportunity to keep going.
Yeah,
It's like a good teacher.
to something else. Like he completely switches gears here.
So I was thinking, I do think there's a beautiful connection between these two.
Okay.
We'll get there. Because I thought that at first we were translating, I'm like, man, this feels like it comes out of left field.
Yeah.
He's like, so anyway, let's talk about going to a wedding feast, right? so he tells a parable because he notices them and the places of honor, how they chose their seats. So I think you could pull this out in a sermon. They're all watching him. He's been definitely watching them. He knows how they came in, what seats they took.
Yeah.
And so he's diagnosing their organizing of themselves, right? And so he sets out to tell this parable.
And by the way, this goes back to Luke 11 with the woe to the Pharisees. Luke 11:43, woe to you Pharisees, you love the best seat in the synagogue and greetings in the marketplace.
Yeah. So
he's already confronted them, if you will, and now he's trying to teach them. I think maybe this is going back to that the young ruler. What must I do to inherit? At least one of your Gospels says he looked at him and loved him.
Loved him, yeah.
So he's not just leaving the Pharisees where they're at. He's wanting to bring them in, and change their perspective. So he gives this parable.
Yeah. When you're invited by someone to a wedding feast, do not sit down in a place of honor, lest someone more distinguished than you be invited by him. And then the one who invited you, both will come and say, give your place to this person. And then you begin, there's this kind of movement of shame from the high seat to the least seat, right? So like the image is like, now the only seat available is the lowest seat. And and you have to kind of do this walk down there from your privileged place you took, right? And so you head down, and he says, but instead, when you're invited, sit at the low seat, right? The lowest place, the least, the last, essentially. What?
Sorry. This is, I was just thinking, in our Lutheran context, you might say, well, and I'm sure other churches are like this too, maybe our people have really heard Jesus in this, and that's why they're sitting
at the back of the church.
Yeah, maybe they really take this to heart.
They say, friend, move up higher, then you're honored in the presence of everyone.
Wow.
And he summarizes it, everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. So he tells this parable, and this is what I was thinking about when we were working on it, is the discussion, the initial piece is of, how are you interpreting this law? Are you are you more concerned with being right than with the compassion for the one who's ailing? And then so in response, he tells this thing about what they've been concerned with, their honor and their glory, right? In taking the high seats, these seats, essentially, if that's an interpretation of what they've done, you're more concerned with getting all this right than with actually having compassion on the people in your midst. And he said maybe to have compassion, to love, is to be willing to take the low seat.
Yeah, so maybe even, and I don't know, this would play out better in a Bible study, but when we think of honoring the Sabbath, and certainly in Jesus' day, the way that it was interpreted is, I'm going to honor the Sabbath because that way God will honor me.
Yeah.
Rather than, and so the reason why I'm not caring for my neighbor is because I'm so self-absorbed with my standing before God that I'm not paying attention to those who actually need my help. And then I can show God's love too, you might say.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I think it works.
I think it works.
Especially with the second half of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he brings up what you're supposed to do when you give a banquet.
Yeah, so then he moves on, and this next paragraph, right? He said to the man who invited him, so now he focuses on the guy who's throwing the banquet. When you give a dinner or banquets, we're translating that as like the lesser meal and the greater meal.
Yeah, any meal when you do any meal of the day.
Yeah. Don't invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or your rich neighbors, lest they just invite you back and you're repaid for it, right? Yeah. But what should you do?
Well, and this is then he ups the game, so it's not any meal, but when you're doing a special meal, which is what the feast
that's right. It's a
is
different
there.
word.
Yeah, it's a different word altogether. So when you're doing a meal that's important, invite people who are poor, lame, crippled, blind.
Yeah.
By the way, somebody with dropsy, however he appears in their midst.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
And what's the result of all that?
Blessed are you.
Yeah.
Going back to the Beatitudes, because they can't recompense you. They can't pay you back.
So that he's placing the blessing ultimately in the resurrection.
Yeah.
In the hope that we all have in Christ, right?
Yeah.
That you will get, like, you don't need to get yours now, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
I used it and it fell flat, so I'm going to tell it to you, and then you can do with it as you want. There's a great rabbinic story on this. Can't remember the name of the rabbi, but he's a well-known rabbi in the Talmud. Anyway, very poor, and he's always giving away. He's always caring for other people, and he comes home, and the wife says, "You know, you're always giving. You're always doing this, But can't you ask God if he could just give a little bit to you now? Like, can we just get one leg up kind of thing? And he goes, well, I'll ask. And that night, God gives him a vision. And he sees a vision of heaven. And there in heaven is his mansion, and everything's well. And he walks into the dining room, and there's this beautiful gold table with three golden table legs. And the angel comes to him, and he goes, this is your vision of heaven, but I'm giving this to you now. And he hands him the fourth table leg. And so it's this idea that, sure, you can have it now, but if you have it now, you're not going to get it in the world to come.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay, so you got this text. You're going to preach it. You're thinking about it. This is not about table etiquette.
No.
Right?
Or table legs, yes.
Or about how to have a party at your house,
right.
even.
Right.
So what is it about? What's he driving home here?
Yeah. Well, I think you hit it on the head when you combined all of them. It's what's your motivation for doing all of these things? And I can think back to Dr. Bierman and talking about salvation and how through Christ salvation is done for us. There's no work we have to do.
Yeah.
There's nothing more that we could add to it. And he goes, so what are you going to do with all your time? And the audience goes, well, love God. And he goes, no, don't love God. God doesn't need your love. God doesn't need anything. Serve your neighbor.
Yeah.
And so in essence, it's a reorientation, because if they're honoring the Sabbath or they're inviting the great rabbi in, their whole goal, they see it. This is a righteous person. We should love them and care for them because this is a godly thing to do. And I think what Jesus is kind of saying is, no, all that's already taken care of. And so your focus shouldn't be on what you can attain at this point in time. Now that you have it, it's when we did the text, do not be anxious. Sell all your possessions and give to the needy. Yeah. Why can you do that? Because you've already gotten everything.
Yeah.
You've been provided with it all. So,
Jake, you got anything you want to add there?
I think the part that stood out to me that connected all three was the intention, that it's kind of driving home for all of them. It's like the heart of the work is not like the result necessarily, because like even in like the parable, if now people start seeking the lowest seat, but they're doing it in intention to be promoted, they're like, I'm so holy that I'm taking this. So even that could be twisted. So it's like the intention is what's driving this as the proper thing to do.
Yeah, and I think like you think of this, amongst your people you're preaching to, this could be a good opportunity to even highlight some of the really good things that people of God do, that they then take and they twist it that way, as this is my shot for glory.
Yeah.
There's I don't know who said it, but I always love the line that there's no theologian or no Christian so small that a theologian of glory is not lurking inside them, that it's always there.
Sure.
Like
this,
how is this going to look good on me? How am I going to benefit?
Yeah.
And so we can even use great things like acts of humility or whatever ways to promote ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's that intention. Why you're doing this? And ultimately, it is the gospel that frees us from that necessity to have to protect ourselves or to promote ourselves even.
Yeah. And to turn this so that it doesn't become, there certainly is a law aspect of that changes our minds, but what is it that changes their minds? And I think you can go to Christ. It's the Philippians passage. He who humbled himself even to the point of death, that Christ thought of you so worthy of a higher position that he was willing to take on your lowly sinful state and even die in your place so that you could be exalted.
To move you up.
So that you could be exalted into the glory of God.
So
I think
maybe think about then what you're doing.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's excellent.
Yeah. So that's the make your mind the same as Christ who humbled himself.
Yeah, have this mind among you.
Have this mind among you.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Anything else there, gentlemen? Good text. Take a minute to like and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Check out everything at 1517.org/craft of preaching. There'll be articles on this text and the others and the other videos. All those things are out there to help in this preaching endeavor. Continue to share us with others, and God bless your preaching.